everyone, welcome to the Study Spectrum TV channel, and today we are going to start with the chapter 3 parts of a plant and its structure. Now students, if you see your surroundings, you can see a lot of plants are present. Everywhere there is a plant. Other than this, if you go to any region of the equator, whether it is hot, you will get the plant. Other than this, if you go to snowy region like that area which is covered with snow, still we get the plants. Other than this, if we see even in your surroundings like school, your park or your neighborhood, what do you see? You can see a variety of plants are present in our surroundings. If we talk about hotter region, there we get the plants. In snowy region, still we get the plant. In our surroundings, we get the plants. So students, however these plants are different in their structure, height, flower and leaves. So why it happens? Because of its habitat and the climates in which plant grows. But if you see your surroundings, sometimes you can see a patchy of green color in the soil. This is also a kind of plant. Sometimes we see a large tree. It is also a plant. In some plants, plants bear a huge flower, whereas some plants in which plants bear a tiny flowers. In some plants which we cannot see the flower with our naked eyes. Sometimes, most of the time what happens, leaves are of green color in only plants. But there are some few plants in which you can see a red color leaves. So it was all about the differentiation in plants. But other than all these differences, parts have few particular structure and they perform their specific functions. Like if we see the parts of a plant, we can divide into the shoot system and root system. So if we talk about the shoot system, it contains stem, leaves, flowers, fruits. Other than this, if we talk about the roots, so roots contains the root and its branches. So it was all about the parts of the plant. Other than this, we can also categorize the plants into herbs, shrubs and trees. So students, if we talk about the herbs, so there are plants present on this earth. They are soft, tender. If you touch them, so they look very soft. Other than this, their stem is of green color. So these kind of plants comes in the category of herbs. They are also short in height, and these kind of flowers have their own smell and flavor. So here what other than this, there are many cereals which are also comes in the category of herbs like maize, wheat, rice. Other than this, ginger, coriander leaves, all these are also comes in the category of herbs. Other than this, if we talk about the shrubs, so shrubs are the plants which are taller than the herbs and shorter than the trees. They are hard but their stem is thin. So these kind of plants comes in the category of shrubs like lemon, hibiscus, rosa sinensis. All these are comes in the category of shrubs. Other than this, you can see there are lot of taller trees which have a woody and thick stem, and they bear branches above the stem, and this stem is called the trunk. So students, it was all about the plants in which we can categorize the herbs, shrubs and trees. Other than this, there are many plants which does not comes in this category. Here we can talk about the creepers and climbers. So if we talk about the creepers, so these are the plants which creeps horizontally, and what comes in this category like gourd, bitter gourd, all these kind of plants comes in the category of creepers. Other than this, there are few plants, they cannot stand upright, they need few structure, they just need some support of trees or walls. So these kind of plants develop few devices that because of that they can get the support and go to the taller, like money plant. So it was all about the plants so we can categorize them into herbs, shrubs, trees, and other than this, creepers and climbers are also present. So students, as earlier we have discussed about the shoot system and root system of the plant. So students, if we start with the root system of the plant, so the part of the plant which goes underground of the soil is called the root of the plant. Here stem end into the roots. Now what are the functions of root? So it helps in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Other than this, in some plants they are modified to store the food, and the very most important function of the root is to anchor the plant firmly into the soil so that plant cannot blow away with air or flown away with water. So students, it was the functions of root. Now if you see the seed of the plant, you can see that there is a plumule and radicle present in the seeds. So what is the role of radicle? Radicle goes underground to the soil and it makes a long chain. Other than this, there are lot of branches coming out from these roots. These are called the side roots or the lateral roots. After that, you can see a small fibers like root which are present on the tip of the root, that is called the root hair. So what is the role of root hair? So root hair increases the surface area for the absorption of minerals and water from the soil. After that, there is a root tip present, and there is a tip cap like structure present on the tip of the root, that is called the root cap. It is a very delicate structure of the plant and it protects the root from any injury. So it was all about the root. Other than this, if you do one activity, what you have to do, just take some mustard seeds and sow it into the soil and add water. After some times, what you will see that a lot of roots are coming from that mustard seeds. So just uproot that mustard plant from khurpi very carefully and wash it with the water. What you have to do, just take some water in a jug and put this plant into that, and just see that all the soils wash away from the roots. So you can see the structure of the root. You can see the root hairs are present in that, root cap is present on that, and there is a several branches coming from the roots. These are called the root hairs, which you can see on the screen. So it was the root hairs. Now we can also divide the roots into two parts, tap root and fibrous root. So what is tap root? So students, there are few plants in which root grows into forms a long chain, and lots of roots are coming from their sides. They forms a branches, that is called the lateral root, and so this kind of root is called the tap root. This kind of root is present in grams, mango, peepal tree. Other than this, there are fibrous roots. So what are the fibrous roots? In which all the roots are coming from the base of the stem of the plant, and they are not very long and they form a bushy structure. So these kind of roots are called the fibrous roots. Now it was all about the root of the plant. Now stem of the plant. So students, there is a question, why are radishes, carrots, beetroots have thick, fleshy and bulgy, and which part of the plant do they form? So students, as we have earlier discussed that sometimes plants of the roots modified to store the food. So these are like radishes, carrots, beetroots, all comes into the category of root of the plant, as they store food in their root and we eat the root of the plant. Students, if we talk about the banyan tree, so you would have seen that there are lots of roots are coming from the stem of the plant. So it is a dome shaped, crown shaped tree, and it is a huge tree. So what are these roots which comes from the stem of the plant? These are called the aerial prop root of the banyan. As the tree grows, they increases in number. Sometimes they reaches to the 1,000 in numbers. So what are their rule? If you see that these aerial roots goes to the ground of the soil, and what they do, they form a column like structure which gives the support to the plant. Other than this, after going to the ground, what they do, they perform a conventional role of the root as they provide the minerals and nutrients to the plant. So there is one more interesting example of the banyan tree, that is in the Indian Botanical Garden in Kolkata. There is a 250 years of old banyan tree which has thousands of aerial roots present. So students, it was all about the root of the plant. Now if we talk about the structure of the stem of the plant, so what is the stem? Stem comes in the shoot system of the plant. Now what happens when stem grows from the plumule of the seed? As earlier we have discussed that seeds have two parts, radicle and plumule. So what happens? Stem grows from the plumule of the seed. So what happens here? Plumule grows the height of the stem. Because of that, height of the stem increases. So what happens here? The stem has nodes from which leaves grows on the stem of the nodes. Other than this, the part of stem between two nodes is called the internodes. So what are the functions of stem? Here the most important functions of the stem, it bears leaves, fruits, branches of the plant. Other than this, it also helps in the transportation of water and minerals to all parts of the plants. And the very most important function of stem is also, it sometimes it modifies to store the food like potato, ginger, sugar cane and turmeric comes into this category. So students, for this there is a nodes, internodes and buds present in the stem. You can see it yourself. What you have to do, if you take a stem of rose or any other plant, if you observe the branch of the stem, you can see there is a nodes and internodes are present in the stem. So if you see the nodes, there is a leaf present on the nodes. So if you take out all these nodes of the leaves, what you can see that they form an angle, that is called the angle, and this bud is called the axillary bud that grows into the branches, and the upper part of the stem of the buds makes a taller trees. So it was all about the stem of the tree plant.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag, and matching bottle to go with. The right school, the right friends. Choose the right subjects and score well. Be an expert in all. The right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late. The right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets. Better get into ladies' compartment. Make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games, IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, axe. The right group and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacation shorter, the bucket list bigger. The night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So students, if we talk about the part of leaf of the plant, so we all know that leaves are the food factories of the plant. Here process of photosynthesis takes place in the leaves and the food is transported to all parts of the plant. Other than this, the leaves are the flat and broad growth of the stem. It sometimes leaves which grows older, and sometimes the new leaves comes from the trees. So what are the parts of leaves? These are petiole, lamina, we can also say leaf blade. Other than this, midrib forms the venation, and other than this there are stipules are present in the leaves. So if we start with the parts of the leaf with petiole, so there is a small stalk present in the nodes of the stem to the leaves, between the leaves of the stem. This part is called the petiole. However, there are many plants in which petiole is absent, like rice, maize and sugarcane. Other than this, a very important part of the leaf is lamina or leaf blade. So it is a flat and broadened structure of the leaf which makes the food for the plant by the process of photosynthesis. Sometimes lamina can be smooth, or sometimes you can see a serrated lamina in the leaves. Now midrib. So students, midrib, when the petiole continues throughout the leaves, it forms the midrib of the leaves. These midribs forms the venation in the leaves, and they also helps in the transportation of food, water and minerals to the leaves, and they also helps in the translocation of food to other parts of the plant. So these venation can be of two types: reticulate venation and parallel venation. So students, if we start with the reticulate venation, so what happens? Veins form a net-like structure both the sides of the midrib. So these kind of leaves are called the reticulate leaves. These kind of leaves are present in the mango, peepal, tulsi, all these kinds of plants. Other than this, parallel venation, what happens here? Veins they runs through a midrib in a parallel form. So these kind of leaves are called the parallel venation. So here we have seen that venation can be of two types: reticulate venation and parallel venation. Other than this, there are small structure present on the base of the leaves. These are called the stipule of the leaves. Now we can perform one activity with the leaves. So students, what you have to do, take 3 to 4 kinds of leaves and place it into the water for 5 to 6 days or 15 days. Now just what you have to just change the water after 3 or 4 days. So what happens, because of keeping in water for so many days, the leaves decomposed, and when you touch the leaves, all the layers came out very easily. After that, you can see that venation present in the leaf. So in some few leaves you will see the reticulate venation, and in few leaves you can see the parallel venation. So it was all about the parts and structure of the leaves. Other than this, what are the functions of leaves? So as earlier we have seen that leaves are the food factories of the plant. So the process of photosynthesis takes place in the leaves only. What happens here? The chlorophyll which is present in the leaf traps the solar energy and changes it into the chemical energy. Because other than this, leaves also need raw material in the form of carbon dioxide and water. So carbon dioxide has been absorbed by the atmosphere. How? There is a tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves, that is called the stomata, which helps in the absorption of carbon dioxide, and water is transported through the xylem of the plant. So in presence of both the raw materials, carbon dioxide and water, leaves make its own food and synthesize the starch and releases the oxygen. And another one, there is a very important function of leaves is transpiration. It helps to cool the plant, and it also helps in the transportation of water to the taller trees also. So what happens here? Loss of water takes place through the aerial parts of the plants in the form of water vapor, and this process is called the transpiration. So because of transpiration and loss of water, water column becomes greatly stressed and it creates a suction pull. Because of that, water reaches to the all parts of the plant. Other than this, a very important role of leaf is respiration. So exchange of gases takes place through the stomata that is present in the leaves. So student, it was all about the structure of the leaf. Now we are going to discuss about the flower of the plant. So students, as we all know that flower is a reproductive part of the plant. So what happens here? There is a stalk of a flower. It can be a long or a short. It attaches to the stem one end, and at the other end it is a flower. So here this flower end in a broad and bulging structure that is called the thalamus. Now what is the role of thalamus? It supports the petals and other parts of the flower. And so now if we talk about the parts of a flower, so the main four parts of the flowers are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So what are the calyx and corolla? So calyx and corolla makes the accessory holes of the plant, and androecium and gynoecium makes the reproductive part of the plant. So let us start with the calyx. So students, if you see the flower, you can see that there are small green leafy like structures are present in the flower. These forms the sepals of the flower or calyx of the flower. So what is the role of sepals in the flower? It protects the buds when the petals are present in the bud form, and when this bud blooms and form a flower, it provides a support to the flower. So it is the most outer part of the flower. Then corolla. So corolla of the flower forms the petals of the flower. Generally they are brightly colored and they attract the insects. Sometimes they are in one or two single rows, sometimes they are free, and sometimes they are joined with the flower. So it was all about the corolla. So here we have seen that calyx and corolla forms the accessory hole of the flower. Now androecium. So androecium and gynoecium are the reproductive part of the plant, and let us start with the androecium. So students, androecium is the male reproductive part of the plant. It is divided into anther and filament. On the top of the filament, and it contains the pollen grains. Those are, so male gametes are present in the anther of the plant. Other than this, if we talk about the gynoecium, so there is a stalk like structure present the innermost layer of the flower, that is called the gynoecium, or they form the pistil. So here pistil can be divided into the three parts. The knob like structure is called the stigma. A tubule-like structure is called the style, and this style ends towards the ovary. So eggs and ovules are present in the swollen part of the ovary. So students, it was all about the parts of a flower: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. A calyx and corolla forms the accessory holes, and androecium and gynoecium forms the reproductive hole. So what in short we can say that 4 holes in which the thalamus, the gynoecium is the innermost part and the calyx is the outermost part. Other than this, corolla and the androecium are the holes between the calyx and the gynoecium. So students, it was all about the structure of the flower. Now what is fruit? So if you see any fruit, so we can say that fruit is a ripened structure of the ovary. Sometimes it is fleshy and juicy and seeds are present in that, like mango, oranges, apple. Other than this, in some types of fruits, they are hard and dry, like walnuts and almonds. So students, it was all about the structure, parts and structure of the plant. Here we have discussed about the shoot and root system of the plant. So we have seen that the underground portion of the plant which forms the branches is called the root, and shoot system forms the stem, leaves, flowers and fruits of the plant. Here we have also discussed about the stem of the plant. We have seen what are the parts of the stem, like these are the buds, nodes and internodes. Then we have discussed about the parts of the leaves. So we have seen that stipule, petiole, midrib, veins and lamina is present in the leaf. So all these are the part of the leaves. Other than this, we have discussed about the flowers of the plant. Here we have seen that a flower is a most, even you can recognize the plants to see the flower. So they have 4 holes present in the flower. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So calyx and corolla forms the accessory holes, and androecium and gynoecium forms the reproductive hole. Other than this, we have discussed about the fruits of the plants. So fruit are the ripened ovary of the plant, and seeds are present in the fruits. Sometimes seeds, there are few plants in which only 1 or 2 seeds are present, and there are many fruits in which lots of seeds are present. So to students, it was all about the parts and structure of the plant. So students, let us start with the exercise of parts of plants and their structure. So question 1 is, match the following. In column A root, B part of stem between nodes, C stem, D bud. In column B, number 1, stem grows in height. Number 2, growing from plumule. Number 3, growing from radicle. Number 4, internode. So student, the first one is root. So here earlier we have discussed about the roots grows from the radicle of the seed. Next, part of stem between nodes. So that are the internodes. Other than next, stem. So earlier we have discussed about the stem grows from the plumule. Then bud. So stem grows from the height. Next question, find the odd man out. Here A, node, internode, bud, root here. So students, these are the parts of stem. These are the node, internode and bud. So here odd one out is root here. Next question, calyx, corolla, gynoecium and leaf apex. So students, here our odd one out is leaf apex, as these are like corolla, calyx and gynoecium are the parts of the flower. Now next question, where are the following parts located on the plant? Root cap. So student, root cap is the last tip of the root, that is a very delicate part of the root, and it also protects the root from any injury. Next, root hair. So root hairs are the small fibers like structures which are present on the last part of the root. And what is the role of root hair? It helps in the absorption, it increases the absorption area and helps the root to absorb the water and minerals from the soil. Now stalk. So stalk is present between the flower and the stem of the plant. Now veins. So students, earlier we have discussed about the midrib in the leaves. So these are the midrib present in the leaf, in which veins are formed, network like structure, and sometimes they runs parallel to the midrib. So these are called the veins. Sometimes they are reticulate veins and sometimes in some leaves they are parallel veins. Now thalamus. So students, thalamus is a bulgy and heavy structure of the flower in which corolla, androecium and gynoecium are present. So our next question is, replace the question mark with the right word. Here in question A, there is a calyx. Calyx is called sepals, then dash petals. So if calyx are sepals, so petals will be the corolla. In question B, leaf apex is the tip of the leaf. So what are the edge of the leaf? So edge of the leaf are called the leaf margin. Now next question, tell the difference between hibiscus leaf and people leaf. So students, earlier as we have discussed about the stipule of leaves. So in hibiscus, if we talk about the hibiscus leaf, there are small stipules are present on the end of the leaves. They are small leafy like structures. Other than this, if we talk about the lamina of the hibiscus leaf, it is serrated. And other than this, if we talk about the color of the hibiscus leaf, it is a dark colored and smooth leaf. If we talk about the people leaf, so here stipules are absent in the people leaf. Other than this, these are rough and light in color. And if we talk about the lamina of the leaf, so here lamina of the leaf is smooth. Next question, calyx and corolla. So students, if we talk about the calyx, so these are the sepals of the flower and they are the leafy like structures which are present on the thalamus of the flower. And what is its role? It protects the corolla when it is present in the bud form of the flower, and when the flowers form from the bud, it gives the support to the flower. Now corolla. So corolla is the petals of the flower. Generally they are bright colored structure and they attracts the insects and birds towards the flower. Now next question, name a parts of the root. So students, as earlier we have discussed about what are the parts of root. These are lateral root, main root, root tip, and there are hairy roots are present on the root, and the last there is a root cap present on the roots, that is protect the root from any injury. Now what are the parts of the stem? So students, as earlier we have discussed that stem has nodes and internodes present between the two nodes, and on the nodes there is a bud like structure present from which branches are coming out to the stem. Now question number C, the place on the stem where leaves grow. So students, earlier we have many times discussed that leaves are grows from the nodes of the stem. Now parts of a leaf. So in if we talk about the parts of the leaves, so these are the petiole, that is a small stalk like structure present between the leaves and stem of the plant. Then lamina. Lamina is a broad structure which is present, which helps in the process of photosynthesis, because pigment chlorophyll present on the lamina of the leaf. And sometimes lamina can be smooth, and sometimes in many leaves they are present in the serrated form. And veins which are present on the leaves, sometimes they are reticulate veins, and in some leaves they are present in the form of parallel venation. Next question, a small leaf like part of the base of the leaf, it is called the stipule of the leaf. This is in sometimes stipule is present in many leaves and sometimes it is absent in leaves. Next question, parts of a flower. So what are the parts of a flower? These are the calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. So calyx and corolla forms the accessory holes of the flower and androecium and gynoecium forms the reproductive holes of the flower. Androecium is a male structure of the flower and gynoecium is a female reproductive part of the flower. Now next question, outermost hole of a flower. So these are called the accessory hole and the outermost of the flower is called the calyx. Now next question, fill in the blanks. Start with A. So the question is, the edge of the leaf is called the, so it is called the leaf margin. Next, B dash is made of stamens. So these are the male reproductive organ, that is androecium. Next question, the flat part of a leaf is called, so this flat part of the leaf is called the leaf lamina. Next question, the corolla is the, so corolla is the petals of the flower. Next question, the innermost hole of the flower is, so the innermost floor of the flower is gynoecium, that is a reproductive part of the flower. It is a female reproductive part. Now next question, answer the following questions. Name the parts of a plant. So students, as earlier we have discussed that we can divide the parts in plants into two parts. One is shoot system and another one is root system. So what is the shoot system? If here they are stem, leaves, branches, fruits and flowers comes in the shoot system, and the part which is present in the soil, that is called the roots of the plant. Now question is, what are root hairs? So students, root hair are present on the tip of the root and they have some small hair and fiber like structure, that is called the root hair of the root. And what is its function? It increases the absorption area of the plant so that root can absorb water and minerals from the soil. Now the next question is, what is a bud? Where are the buds formed on a plant? So students, buds are the sprouting part of the plant and it forms the angle between stem and leaf. So this is called the axil and these axils are called the axillary buds. It grows into a branches and there are similar buds at the top of the plant stem present, which helps in the stem grows taller into the height. So students, our last question is, what is a leaf apex? So students, leaf apex is a part of leaf and it is the tip of the leaf, that is called the leaf apex. So students, it was all about the exercise of parts of plants and their structure. Now we have done with this chapter and I hope you would have understand what are the parts of the plants and their structure and their function.